Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good. Wait for a couple more people to hop on, but I'm super excited.
I am so pumped to pick your brain about all the fabulous social media.
Well, Instagram at least. We can chat about all social media, but
Perfect.
I'm still figuring out the rest. I'm trying to figure out LinkedIn today.
How's your puppy?
Oh, he's so good. He's a little ball of energy.
Oh,
So definitely keeping us entertained.
love it.
Yeah, it's been good. Good for taking breaks when necessary.
Yes. My wall is full of Zoom calls. I tell my husband, I was like, I'll see you in 5 hours.
Your wall is full of what?
My Zoom calls.
Oh, which ones have been good?
I mean, I always love ones with Chris Stevens and Chris Summers. Today is a lot. So I have you, then Chris Summers at 2.
Mhm.
Then I have a mortgage one at 4, and then education committee at 5. So packed day.
Good. Well, I am like still catching on to the Zoom thing. So I'm on my phone right now. But you guys just like forgive me if I have technical issues. I'm gonna try my hardest. And feel free to like shout out if you see me doing something wrong.
If you have any questions, I'd be happy to share insight on Zoom. I just did like a tutorial with my team.
Oh, good. Good. Yes. Feel free to shout it out, you guys. Yeah. If you have questions, I'm not sure. I can see the chat, but it doesn't like pop up. So feel free to just like unmute yourself and just shout out questions. Let's see. What time is it? Yeah, we'll get started. All right. So I think I've met some of you guys, but not all. I'm trying to see who's on here. But I've been in the business, it'll be 4 years this fall, 3 years full time. So it's still kind of new. And when I started, I had no sphere, didn't know anyone really in the city. So I was kind of just literally like starting from scratch. But about 2 years ago, I decided to really start taking Instagram seriously and to start like measuring what I was doing and to really start building it and start time blocking it. About 6 months after that, I started seeing some real business from it. And then I decided to really like start strategizing. I took a course. I'm happy to share that course with you guys. But mostly I was just like Googling Instagram for service-based businesses, like how to build an Instagram audience, just really just trying to learn everything. And the main thing that I did is I looked outside of the real estate industry to see what other service-based businesses were doing. So, well, a lot of people are joining. I looked for like fitness people because they're service-based, how like they were getting clients on Instagram, like a lot of like dietitians, things like that. Anyone who's like selling themselves, because at the end of the day, we're not really selling houses, we're selling ourselves in relationships. So I just looked at what other people were doing for that. But so far this year, I've closed 3 million just from Instagram. But like the best part about that is that they have all been like my perfect people, like people who I would be friends with and I am friends with now. So I feel like, agree or disagree with me, the reason you guys are probably in real estate is because A, you want to like have financial freedom and live the financial life that you want to live. But B, like you also just want to live a good life. And for me, living a good life is being around people who I genuinely like and enjoy and who respect me and I respect them and don't call me at 10 o'clock at night. So I feel like Instagram gives me the ability to really showcase my personality. And by doing that, it attracts my kind of people. And that's my favorite thing. So I get to like make money and also be around awesome people. So yeah, today I'm just gonna go through the strategy and the framework that I use. It shouldn't take me too long, and we can have a little Q&A at the end, but I'm also on my phone, so I can just pull up Instagram and show you guys if you have questions as we go. Yeah, so feel free to shout it out, like I said, or if somebody's like on the chat, I can't see the chat, so if you pop in a question, just like yell it out, all right? Cool, so let me pull up this again. Bear with me, guys. All right, you guys should be able to see my screen now. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
All right, can you guys read that?
I can read it.
You can read it. Cool. All right, so this is literally what I do on Instagram, and it's all about posting valuable content. The content needs to be valuable, and engaging with your perfect person. So it's about figuring out who your perfect person is and just engaging with them, and adding consistency to it. That's it. And it is literally not about selling anything. It's not about selling houses. It's not even really about houses at all. It's about building those relationships. All right. So in order to create valuable content, the very first thing you have to do is you have to figure out what that content is. And in order to figure out what that content is, you need to figure out who you want to serve. So some of you guys might have a good idea of who that is, but the more that you can niche down, the better you'll be. And I highly recommend, like, this does not mean that if you want to only like list new construction, if that's what you want your niche to be, that you can't also help first-time home buyers. But if your goal on Instagram is to help find builders to list their homes for them or whatever, then only do that on Instagram. Don't try to also serve first-time home buyers. So I really recommend on all social media to really niche down. And that can be different. Like on Facebook, if you want to serve first-time home buyers, but on Instagram, you want to serve builders so that you can get their listings, that's fine, but just pick a niche for that platform and serve those people. And then really start to do some research. So this is where you want to dig in, and now's a perfect time to go down that rabbit hole. So when I was just starting out on Instagram, I was doing a lot of floor time. So I would literally spend the 3 hours that I was at floor time digging through Instagram and seeing what first-time homebuyers were doing on Instagram. And I would just see what they were posting. If like, so for example, I had this like perfect client in January. They were so great. They bought new construction in Fishtown. They were super nice people. I'm still friends with them today. So I've literally gone through all of their followers. I know exactly who they're following, and I know what they're doing on Instagram. So I just went down that rabbit hole so that I can see what they're looking for, what they're doing. And then if you can figure out like what their fears are and what their insecurities are and like what they really want out of life, then you'll really be able to resonate with them. So something that I've started doing is I've started doing client interviews, and it's kind of uncomfortable, but it really has been a huge eye opener for me. And if you have the chance, or you have like a relationship with a client who you would feel comfortable just being like, hey, would you mind like spending 10 minutes with me just answering a couple of questions? It will really, really help your marketing on Instagram. So I sat down, I needed to just catch up with a past client anyway, but I just sat down and I was like, hey, what was really important to you about buying a home in Philadelphia? And the things that she said were things that I never would have thought of, and just helped me be able to connect with more people so much easier. So she was like, oh, it's just all about like making Philly home and really settling down because I'm not from here, which is something that I never thought of, but now I can talk about that on Instagram and people will really resonate with it. So if you can do interviews with like your perfect clients or someone who you think would be your perfect client. And then, like I said, just go down the internet rabbit hole. Any on Instagram, you can search by location, by restaurant. You can search by so many things locally that this is really easy. And if you guys need help figuring out do you guys know how to search on Instagram? Yes. Okay. Well, if you guys, if anyone needs help doing that later, I can show you. And another really big thing that I've been doing is just polls. On Instagram stories, you can do polls, you can ask questions, and that has just been a really huge way of, if somebody asks the same, or if 3 different people ask the same question, I write a post about it. That's really easy. But when you're writing your content, you really want to stick to a theme, and really having 5 types of content you don't really want to stray from that too much. So if you talk about the 5 same things and then all of a sudden you go on vacation to California and you post a picture of your vacation to California, people might unfollow you and they might be confused about what you are. So my page is all about Philly. So maybe if I go on vacation, I might post a picture of myself, but I'm not really going to post a picture of where I'm at, because honestly, people don't really care. They're not really there for my vacation photos. But so you want to find 5 types of content, and the purpose for this content is for people to develop a know, like, and trust relationship. That's it. It's not to sell anything. So really, in order to have the know relationship, in order for them to know you, you need to share your story. And I recommend thinking about sharing your story in a way that resonates with them. So I'll talk about how I'm not from Philly, but I came here for college, because I know that a lot of my ideal clients also came here for college. And I know that a lot of their families don't live in Philly. So I share a lot about how I love to show Philly off to my family and things like that. Maybe another type of content is the lifestyle in Philly, or the lifestyle that they live. So if your perfect niche is builders, talk about, the builder lifestyle, whatever that is, or whatever their lifestyle is, really talk about that in a way that's going to resonate with them. So for example, my ideal client, first-time home buyers, probably go to yoga class. So I make it a point to talk about yoga, because I know that they like that. And then when you get to the point to where you know what their real estate needs are, then you'll talk about that in a way that's valuable to them. So my ideal client is very type A and likes to be over prepared. So I talk about okay, this is how you can prepare for your home search and how to make it easy. So yeah, but don't just talk about real estate randomly. Talk about real estate in a way that's really valuable, and probably I like to give non-Googleable advice. So advice that, they can't necessarily just look up. They're only going to hear it from you, and that makes you seem super valuable, and that's how they get to really trust you. Talking about your local market, because again, that's not super Googleable, and it's not something that everyone else is going to be talking about. And I love to share my client stories. I'm sorry, is my screen going in and out for you guys?
No, it's good.
Good. Okay, cool. Yeah, so any the best content to share on Instagram is a story. So if you can talk about the local market by sharing a story, even better. So yeah, stories. Is anyone a Gary Vee fan? No?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Gary Vee. So jab, 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 right hook. So especially if you're new to Instagram, if you're not doing a lot on it, just give value. Don't ask. It's not, again, it's not about selling houses at all. Don't post new listing or under contract. It's because that's not giving anything. You need to give value. All right. So this is your content. Does that make sense? Any questions? Cool. So once you know your content, then you're going to be engaging with the right people. So growing your Instagram, if you could have 50,000 likes, but if they're all teenagers in Idaho, it doesn't matter. Or you can have 1,000 likes and they're all your perfect clientele in Philadelphia, and that's enough. So you really want to focus on getting the right people to your account. And Gary Vee talks about this a lot, but his $80 rule is literally, I do it every single day, and it's how I've grown. And you can do it on a lot of social media platforms, but it really works super well on Instagram. So basically, you're going to find the top 10 hashtags, and then you're going to go to the top 9 posts. You're going to drop your 2 cents on there, so something authentic, so not just like an emoji. For example, if it's like a dog post, you're gonna be like, oh, this dog is so cute, it's kind of similar to mine, or something like that. And you're going to do that for 10 hashtags, and that equals $80. So here, let me show you guys what I mean by that. So you can see my Instagram. Let's say I want to connect with Philly dog owners because I'm now a dog owner. So I'm going to go Philly dogs. There's top 9 posts right here. Well, they're all kind of from the same person, but I'm going to like it. And I'm just going to be like, oh, too cute. And then that's just going to kind of get their attention. And then I'm going to go and do the rest of these. Oops. So you're going to do that 10 times a day. That's your $80. And that's how you'll grow. But first, it's really important to figure out where your ideal client is. So if your ideal client isn't a dog owner, where are they? Are they moms? Are they, like I said, are they builders? That's kind of part of your research. Figure out where they're at and then go there and engage with them. And
hey, Stacie, it's Dana. Yep. How do you figure out what are the top 10 hashtags?
So it kind of depends on your ideal client. So if your ideal client is a dog owner, then they probably are. But so what's like another niche that we can talk about that maybe we can find their hashtags?
What about if you're single?
Yep. Yeah. So single as a man or a woman?
Woman.
So single woman, what hashtags might they be in, or who might they be following in Philadelphia?
Philly food girl.
Yeah, probably. Or like probably brunch. So we'll go Philly brunch. Oops. Yeah, there's a couple. So here's some, these are from restaurants, but you can also go into, so like if your ideal client probably is following James, you can go in and see their followers and then like engage with these people. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Did I answer your question?
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's part of like the digging in and doing the, just like going down the rabbit hole. So that's growth. And then once you get them on your page, don't message them first, ever. Let them come to you and just ask in small ways. So these are your right hooks. And they say on average, it takes 7 engagements with someone before they're comfortable enough to give you their contact information. So you need to get them to engage with you 7 times before you can get their email or phone number. And this can be in small ways. So that can be liking your post. Like that's really like the smallest, easiest way. So just say, double tap this post if you agree, something like that. Or a comment on your post is another way to ask them to engage. A vote and a poll on Instagram. Asking a question in a story and them answering it. And then like really like your whole goal is to get them to feel comfortable enough to DM you. So I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I feel awkward just DMing random people. But of course, like if I know someone, if I've already talked to them a couple times, if I have a sense that maybe they know who I am, I'm much more likely to reach out to them because it doesn't feel like I'm reaching out to a stranger. And once someone DMs you, like now you kind of have a relationship with them and you're able to really talk to them and like ask them things and like, you know, maybe ask them if they're thinking of moving, things like that. So you want them to get to the point to where they feel comfortable DMing you. And then of course, once they DM you, eventually they'll give you your contact information. Eventually they'll meet with you and eventually they'll buy and sell real estate with you. But it's about starting small and building from there. So you'll see me like, if you follow me on Instagram, at least once a day, I do something or I try to do something that gets people to engage with me in some way. So yesterday I was just talking about like down payments. And I was like, can you guess what the average down payment in Philadelphia is? And like 30 people responded because it was just like something fun. And so they responded to me and now I'm in a conversation with them. And when they are ready to buy and sell, they'll be like, oh yeah, I just talked to this girl a couple weeks ago. Let me just DM her. Does that make sense? Cool. So I just want to show you guys this profile. This is an agent in North Carolina. So she only has 1,400 followers and she doesn't seem to have like a crazy profile, but she sold 25 houses from Instagram last year without having a huge following. So I just wanted to show you guys that it's completely not about the follower size and how many likes you get. It's about how much value you give and having the right people following you. All right. So, and then once you have your content and you get your engagement down, then it's all about consistency. So just ask yourself, you know, now it's a little weird, so we have a little bit more time, but when things start to get busy, you know, when it's June, how can you really stick to your time block when it comes to engagement and content? So for me, I time block Instagram. I do my content on Monday mornings, and then usually like around noon, I'm doing my engagements for 20 minutes. So I do just Gary Vee's $1.80 for 20 minutes every day. And I know Monday mornings, I'm probably going to be tired from showings all weekend, probably just gonna wanna stay in my yoga pants at home. So then I have some time to really do my content. But as soon as you get busy, the content, you're just gonna be like, I don't feel like writing this Instagram post. So it's really important to really schedule that and to make it important, an important part of your week. And I definitely recommend having a content calendar with your, I have 5 tips, but your 5 topics. So usually about once a month, I will just sit down and I say, okay, what are my 5 topics I'm going to talk about this month? And what are 5 posts that I can make about that topic? And I also like to do series. So for a while I was doing 10 weeks to buying your first home. So then I knew that I would have 1 piece of content every week on that. And then like I said, once a week I try to share a client story, things like that, but definitely having a content calendar where you know what you need to talk about and when helps. And then pay attention to what's working and what's not working has really, you know, that's the one thing that's going to make you grow. And it's not necessarily about like, okay, do I have 1 million followers yet? Or are all of my posts getting 500 likes? But are you getting the outcome that you want? So I'll show you what I do when I go into my analytics. Let me see. So I'm going to pull up my insights. And for me, let me see. For me, I'm always looking at how many website clicks I'm getting right here and how many profile visits I'm getting. And website clicks are really like my main goal because that's people signing up for my homebuyer workshop, which is a big converter for me. But it's not really about like how many people saw my profile. It's about how many people clicked on my website. And then another trick down here. So this is how you know when to post. So if it's Sunday, I'm not going to post in the morning. I'm probably going to post at night. On Mondays, again, same thing. And then you can see those are all the same right now. Well, the weekends aren't very good. So I like very rarely post on the weekends. Mostly I'm posting on Mondays and Tuesdays. And then for my stories, I really want to look at how many people are exiting out of my story. So let's see. If I have like a really bad story, a bunch of people will exit out, and then I kind of know not to do that anymore. Do I have any bad ones? Yeah, so this story, 100 people exited out of. So I probably like won't do something like this again because now I know that they don't really like it. And then, so like this story, 2 people replied to, which is good. I want people to reply to it because then they're talking to me. Let's see if someone shared that one. 5 website clicks. So this one really worked. So now I know that I should probably do more of this. And 40 people exited, but that's okay. So you really just want to focus on what's not working here. Let me show you again. I forgot to show you. So when you're looking at what kind of content to post, this is really good to pull up. So I know that people really like it when I share stories about myself and photos of me. So I try to do this whenever possible. And I also know that people really like it when I share photos of doors for some reason. So I try to do that more. And then also a lot of the posts that I make about my past clients really work pretty well. So I try to do that more often. And you can see like in the past month what worked. So some photos of my past clients, some really bright doors, again, some coffee shops. And in the past 6 months, again, mostly photos of me and doors. So that's mostly what I try to post. And then I just see like, what did I even write about? Oh, so this is like a really helpful homebuyer tip. So people like that, so I should do that more. Let's see. I think that's all I got for you guys. Oh, this is just a quick tip about your profile. So when you pull up Instagram, let's see. I'm going to just look at this real quick. So look at this for maybe 3 seconds, and then I'm going to click off if I'm not interested. So you truly have 5 seconds max to make a good first impression. And if your profile seems like you're really trying to sell something, or if, it's just like if people just don't like it, they're going to click off of it. And then if they see you on Instagram later, they probably won't even click on your profile. So it's really important that you make a good first impression. So you want to share what your value is. So knowing who your niche is and sharing that with them. So if you help builders, be like, I help builders sell homes quickly, something like that. That is very clear. And then how you want to let people know how they can connect with you. So for me, I have the link to my first time homebuyer workshop because that's what I want them to do. And then maybe just like a fun fact that resonates with your ideal client. So for example, if you guys follow Jenna Kutcher at all, she talks about how she really likes macaroni and cheese because everyone likes macaroni and cheese, and that's something that will resonate with them. So maybe just like a fun fact. Yeah, so that's all I got for you guys. What questions do you have?
Stacie, it's Dana. So I see when I'm looking at your Instagram profile, you have under Stacie Rihl, Philadelphia Realtor, education. Why did you pick education versus realtor or public figure or something else?
Because that's what I do. And I think that's my value to my clients. And that's how I brand myself. So how many realtors are there in Philadelphia? Well, like 2,000 now. So I don't think that's my value by being a realtor. I think my value is education. So that's why I have that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, Stacie.
Hi.
That was awesome. Thank you. Like, you've really mastered this, and I appreciate you sharing this. You know, I'm like just getting started on Instagram, so I'll be watching this again. Quick question. So you said that we should be giving, and I'm thinking about someone who may be but not selling, but someone who may be your ideal client. Maybe they like looking at pictures occasionally of beautiful homes. So if you occasionally post a listing in that sense, is it selling or giving, or you would just stay away from it?
Yeah, so I post at least like once or twice a week. I do like previews in my stories. So it's like a video tour. So it's super engaging. And I honestly just do it because it's fun and it just like attracts people because they love it. But I don't sell, like I'm not like just listed for $3.99. It's for the purpose of getting people. I actually put like, DM me if you want more details. Because then if they like it, then they'll message me. And I also just make it engaging. Like I put a poll, like, do you like this backsplash, or do you like these floors, or something like that, just to make it engaging. So if you're like showing homes, like it's super fun and people love it, just make it fun and don't make it salesy. And I recommend just like leaving some of the details out just to get people engaged and talking to you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good question. Go ahead, you first.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. We probably have the same question. Go ahead.
So one of my questions is Instagram filters. So I've noticed that a lot of realtors, they have like a very consistent color scheme on their page. So they're clearly using some type of photo editing app. And I'm noticing on yours that you don't do that, but nothing seems to really like clash against each other. Is it because you don't edit your pictures? Do you feel like editing has something to do with your following?
Yeah, I don't edit them a lot, only like in the app. So I just literally bring up the brightness like as much as I possibly can. I bring up the saturation, and I think I sharpen it a little bit just to make my pictures a little bit more eye appealing and to like stop the scroll a little bit. I'm not good at using the same filters because I think it's really hard to like take 3 photos and use the same filter on it without one of them looking bad. But I do, Instagram is very visual. So you need to be posting things that are visually appealing. And that doesn't mean that you need to like be a professional photographer. Usually it just means brightening the photo.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
My question was, so my age group is kind of most of it's pretty young. I'm 20, so most of them, I don't have any followers above 25. And I don't know, me personally, I don't know any 20-year-olds or 25-year-olds that are looking to buy yet. What would you recommend for someone to try to get a better follow group? So someone older, I don't know. How do I appeal to the older age group?
Yeah, so when I started, I was 22 and like living in the dumpiest apartment ever, and like was like not who I was trying to attract at all. So that's why I really did a lot of research to see what the people who I did want to attract were doing. And you can curate. Like Instagram is all about curating. So like I said, like when I was going to yoga class, I made sure to talk about when I was going to yoga class. When I was shopping at the thrift store, I did not talk about shopping at the thrift store because my ideal client didn't do that. So just like finding things that they liked and talking about that. So like, for example, people who were like 28, they were starting to like get a little bit into like making their home more of a home. So if I was at Home Goods, I would like take a picture of something pretty, or if I was walking by a flower store, I'd make sure to take some pictures of the flowers, the succulents, because I knew that they would like that. Or a lot of people really like dogs, so I take pictures of dogs and share it. Things like that, like really curate it towards that person. But again, it does take the research to know what they like. Does that answer your question?
It does. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi. So I have 2 questions. My first one is, do you belong to any engagement groups?
I don't, because they make me a little nervous. I'm not really sure if like what the algorithm is going to do, and because Instagram is like my lifeblood and like how I eat, I'm just not willing to risk getting kicked off.
Okay, so mine is totally like doesn't relate to real estate whatsoever. I'm actually in an engagement group for my food Instagram, and it's basically just like a DM, and you send your post in, and then they kind of like share your post or whatever. So I was just curious on if you belong to one or not. And my second question is, how has your content changed at all during this time of quarantine and uncertainty?
Yeah, I've heard mixed things about engagement pods, so that's why I kind of like stayed away from them. And I also just couldn't find any that were valuable to my niche. So, but during the quarantine, I had a bunch of posts scheduled, and then I was like, well, none of these are even relevant anymore. So now it's been all like even more than ever giving value. So like, what are people's struggles right now? What are they worrying about? And talking about that. So like this week I've been talking about like, what if you need to move this summer? Because a lot of people are nervous about that because they can't see houses. So giving value in that way. And people are super engaged. So it's a great time to be on Instagram. I was gonna say something else and I forget it. Yeah, talking to that. And then more than anything, just like sharing my story. So like we're all struggling right now. We're all going through a hard time. And I think if people can see that I'm also going through some stuff, then like they'll relate to me a little bit more and they'll feel like they know me a little bit more. So does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Stacie. As far as followers, I know that some people shoot for like a certain ratio. So that's my first question is, do you shoot for the ratio of the same, following or having more followers than following? And then also, do you tend to follow a bunch of people and that's how you get a lot of your followers, or just from content people are sharing it and then you're just getting that reaction from sharing?
Yeah, because like my ideal client, who they are, is they have a private profile. So it's very hard for me to engage with them. So I do follow them. And then if they like my profile, they follow me back. So my ratio is a little high and it just kind of is what it is. Some people like their theories are like that looks a little spammy and some people don't like that, but it really works for me.
Some people have like 8,000 followers and only 4,000 following. So you're pretty much consistent. So I wasn't sure if that's like served to an advantage in any way or anything like that.
There's a lot of, I think if you are following a lot more people than are following you, you tend to look a little spammy. So I try to be really particular about who I am following. Like I don't just go through a list and follow a bunch of people. I make sure like, oh, this looks like a real person who might buy a house for me. Let me follow them. I don't just like follow random people.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Do you unfollow who doesn't follow you back?
No, I don't really care enough. If I see someone like come up on my feed who I'm like, all right, you clearly don't live in Philadelphia and you are like 14, I'll unfollow them. But if, I don't know, I don't really care if they don't follow me back. If I see someone like maybe bought a house in the suburbs with somebody else, okay, I'll probably unfollow them because they're probably not going to buy a house with me. But no, I don't I know that there are some apps, but I try to be really careful with some of the apps and things just because you can get kicked off of Instagram for that and it's just not worth it for me.
Stacie, do you have? Are you reading a question or?
I don't see the chat. Is there a question?
Oh, I don't know. I was going to ask one, but I think you might have been reading one.
ahead.
So for people who want to kind of post like an engaging post and really ask a question, but maybe, either don't have a large following to garner like an response or let alone a lot of responses, or hadn't done that in the past. So like they're not really their community's not used to engaging them in that way, and it kind of like just leaves it done. There's just post after post. There's prompting questions and nothing there. Is there a way to kind of, I don't know, combat that, or at least make more, I don't know, start that process, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, you have to test it out and see what works to a certain extent. But if you're doing something and it's not working, try something else. So I don't really, in my post, I don't really ask a lot of questions because a lot of people actually don't answer me, and it needs to be the right question. So like the other day I posted like, what are you guys doing during quarantine? Like that's something that's easy to answer. Something that is like, when do you want to buy your first house by? Or like, where do you want to buy your first house? Like that's a hard question, and not a lot of people are going to ask that or answer that. So it really needs to be something that's engaging and easy to answer, and something that people are excited to answer. Or like a question like, what's your favorite neighborhood in Philly? Like that's something that's easy to answer, and it's very engaging, and people are excited about it. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, I agree with all that.
Yeah, and also just like starting small. So like in stories, it's really easy to like have engaging polls. But again, like it needs to be something that's easy and fun to answer. So sometimes I'll like go through Pinterest and I'll find 2 kitchens, and I'll be like, do you want the blue kitchen or the gray kitchen? And that just kind of gets people, rolling and into it. You do have to like the steps, you have to start small.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
go ahead. You first.
It's all you.
So what would you recommend? So I've never posted, like I've been terrible at Instagram. What would you recommend, like today, right now? What would be something good to post just to test the waters?
Mm-hmm. So I mean, before you post, number one, really write down. Like I wish that I had my notebook from when I first started. Who you want to serve, because if you don't know who you're posting for, how are you supposed to know what you're supposed to write? So really get clear about who you want to see you on Instagram, who you're writing content for. Do that work first. Go down that rabbit hole. Maybe spend an hour today looking at your ideal client and figuring out where they're at and what kinds of things they're posting and looking for on Instagram. And then once you know that, tomorrow, I recommend writing like your story post. So why you got into real estate, where you're from, what you're all about, and like post about your story will work out really well, but it needs to relate to your ideal client. So like I said, I write about like how I'm not from Philly and how I got here and how I just kind of fell into real estate. Because that kind of like relates to my ideal client. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Because I'm from Philly, and then like depending on areas, it all depends on where you're from.
Yeah, and like, is your ideal client from Philly, or are they not from Philly?
I haven't gotten that far yet. I don't know.
Yeah, some research, some brainstorming and thinking to do, because the way that, also there's like, like Philly dialect, like, are you going to say John or are you not? Because if your ideal client like loves the use of the word John, then if you say it, they're going to love you. If they hate that word, don't say it. That was just a stupid example, but.
Hey, Stacie.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry. So I am typically a very direct person in all of my consultations and everything. So what would you, and I guess also I love working with relocation. So it's not a lot of hashtags under there that aren't realtors or people who already moved. But what's something you would say to kind of focus with being as direct as I am?
So, sorry, you want clients to know that you're direct, or?
Yeah, it's like I'm just used to being very direct. So, it's kind of hard to not be salesy and direct, I feel like. So what would you recommend for something like that?
I mean, I would, that's your advantage. And play that up. Be like, I'm not the realtor who's gonna like beat around the bush for you. I'm gonna tell you exactly what you need to do. And I'm not gonna like sugarcoat it at all. So talk about that and really like brand yourself that way. I think that does that answer your question? So like how can you not be salesy though?
Well, just because you said, you want to try not to be too salesy. And yeah, it's for the Instagram, as far as posting, that part's just kind of weird or hard.
So the thing that you need to do on Instagram is you need to show them, not tell them. So if you think you're the best relocation realtor for someone, show them. Don't tell them that. So tell them why you're the best relocation realtor. Tell them, I'm from Philly, and here we tell it like it is. And here's 3 reasons why you need a realtor to tell it like it is. Or here's 3 reasons why you'll love moving to Philly, or something like that. That is more about them and not about you. So you don't like when you're writing your captions, it's totally not about you. It's about them. And even if you're talking about yourself, you're doing it in a way that relates to them. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Because the more that you like try to push people, the more they're probably going to unfollow you, unfortunately.
Stacie, it's Dana. How can you, if you already have an Instagram, right, and now you're rethinking and going to rebrand yourself as to like who you serve, do you leave your content up? Do you delete it? How do you decide what to keep, what to get rid of?
Yeah, Brittany and I were just talking about this yesterday. So I have like always had the same Instagram account, and there's like photos of me like in college. So like I deleted the things that are like shouldn't really be public anyway, but for the most part left everything else up there, because at the end of the day, people want to know you. So I think it's good, and it's nice to kind of like for people to like see your history. It's also really cool for me to look back and see where I was 5 years ago and how much I've grown. So I don't change anything unless it's like really inappropriate and I wouldn't want anyone to see it anyway. I just leave it. And it's also cool to see even 6 months ago how much I've grown on Instagram and like how much I've learned.
Thank you.
I agree with that. I think it's nice not only for yourself but for the people to see your progression as well. Not only on Instagram but in your business. So I usually tell people, unless it's like inappropriate and you wouldn't feel comfortable looking a client in the eye as like you're both looking at it, to leave it up at least.
Yeah, because they want to know you. Any other questions right now? What were your biggest aha moments?
Actually, Stacie, I have a question. For people who are, I don't know if you want to say rebranding or even trying to position their initial brand, how did you go about finding who your ideal client was?
Yeah, so like I said, I sat on floor time for 3 hours every week and I just dug in. But I also, I knew kind of who I wanted to work with. I knew that I wanted to work with people who are nice to me and people who were buying like $300,000 to $400,000 houses. So I was like, okay, where are they at on Instagram? And then I just dug more and like learned more about them, learned where they lived, what they did, things like that. So once you kind of have like a general idea of who you want to work with, what you want to do, whether you want to work with buyers or sellers, what price range you want to be in, then you just go in from there and like really just like find a niche. Does that answer your question?
It's sort of, more or less, I guess. How did you go about finding what your niche was? Like, what was, I don't, short, obviously, but your process of like, and I can understand demographics, like, be able to purchase a certain price, in a certain location. And I agree, working with only people you want to work with and would be nice to you. But beyond that, I guess even before that, it's like, okay, cool. These are my people. How did you figure out who your people were?
How did I figure out who my people were?
I know you're like big. You created, with the women's group and things like that. So I know you cultivated like a kind of a community. How did you figure out what and whom was a part of your community?
I think it took quite a few tries working with the wrong people and being like, I hate this, and this is not who I want to work with, to be honest with you. And just kind of going from there and seeing who I enjoy. I think also it's at the end of the day, sitting down and looking at what kind of life do you want to live. Just like we talk about all the time, like Bold and like the KW stuff, like what do you want to do every day? What do you want your life to look like? Who do you want to be with every day? Because at the end of the day, your clients are who you're going to spend the most amount of time with. So who do you want that to be? Does that help?
Yeah. I mean, I agree with all that.
Yeah, and like this sounds cheesy, but like what gives you purpose? For me, like I love teaching. I love feeling like I genuinely helped someone. I love feeling like someone was really nervous before they met me and now they feel really confident. I love that, and that makes me super happy. For some people, it might just be about like, I don't know, listing the nicest new construction homes, but it's all about like what makes you happy. All right, we got some stuff. Aha moment. Figure out who your ideal client is and curate your Instagram to them. Yes. The concept of who do you serve and creating content and knowledge for those. Yeah. Consistency is key. Yeah. Cool. Any aha moments? Any others? All right. You guys are the best. If you ever need anything, also I posted the original course that I took in the group a couple of days ago in the KW group. So feel free. It's a really great course. If you want the link, also just let me know. Yes, engage more, hashtags.
Show us lucky.
What?
Show us lucky.
I'm in the bedroom. Lucky's out there.
Go get him.
Yeah. All right, you guys. Thanks for keeping me entertained. Let me go get Lucky for you.
Yeah, we got 10 minutes.
Hi. Daddy. He's getting wiped off right now. Everyone.
I'm not comfortable with talking to everyone.
Come here. Oh, he's biting me.
Aww.
Oh, hyper.
Hey, leave it.
This is what he does to me.
Leave it.
Oh, he's so cute.
Little devil over here. Devil. Leave it.
All right, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Stacie.
Thanks, Stace.
Thanks, Stacie.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Helpful. Where do we find the recording?